Welcome back to Around the Clock. It is time for the Selectmen's Update. This comes from the June 17th meeting. It was a somewhat full agenda. We started off on a very positive note when we had Tom Grill from the BAA, the Boston Athletic Association, just come in and thank us for the use of the Ashland roads for the Boston Marathon. We had a poll hearing regarding a new pole that is getting put up on Oak Street. We had an update and discussion about the IT consolidation that's happening. So the schools and general government are looking to combine their IT department. We had someone leave the general government side, so we're going to combine the two departments into one and try to save on resources and just make things work a little more smoother. And Paul Carpenter from the schools came and presented. We also had an update from the Warren Woods Ad Hoc Committee, and that was presented by Cliff Wilson, talking about what they think could be a possibility of how to use the front 16 acres of the Warren Woods and maybe put the Valentine barn there, so that's still under discussion. We also had Steve Greenberg from the Ashland Sporting Association coming and looking for a date in March for their half marathon, and it is on a Saturday rather than a Sunday.
Why are you looking at me?
Then we had our selectmen appointments. The first appointments were for the Override Study Committee. This is a new committee that has come out of a tri-board meeting. So tri-board is school committee, finance, and board of selectmen, as well as town management and school administration. And we appointed, it's Steve Mitchell and Rob Scherer for the board of selectmen, Mark Terry and Betsy Emberly from the schools, and then town management and school administration. We also appointed or created another committee called the Water Policy Committee, and that'll be 3 to 5 members, and that is a follow-up to the discussion for MWRA that happened at town meeting, and putting a committee together to see what kinds of rules and regulations as to when we turn the MWRA connection on, if we go that route, those kinds of things. We approved a tow-away zone / ticketing possibility in front of the electric charging stations at the municipal lot and at the town hall lot. So we have 2 new charging stations, and sometimes people who are not electric cars will park in their spots.
So I should not do that.
You should not do that.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Just to be sure.
All right. Sorry.
That's okay. We also looked at the interconnection agreement with Eversource for the solar projects that are going in at the House Street Middle School and High School. We discussed some painting and minor repair work up at the Warren Woods shed, so the red shed that is looking a little dingy, hopefully by the end of the summer will look a little bit better. We discussed and approved of the establishment of another committee, and this is called the Stormwater Advisory Committee. This is based on some new regulations coming down from the state as to how you have to manage and track your stormwater. So that's a new committee, so we'll be looking for people for that. We approved an Ashland Lions toll road for September. Needham Bank is having their opening on June 28th, and they requested the use of some town property around the bank to celebrate, so be on the lookout for information on that. We accepted a gift of 48 bicycle helmets from the Ashland Farmers Market. They have a grant program, and then working with another company, they have these 48 helmets that they're going to be giving out this week at Sustainability Day at the Farmers Market. The board also voted to sign on to the Community Compact application. This is a new program from the state level that Charlie Baker and Karen Polito have put out called the Community Compact. And as a town, you sign on, you pick 3 items that you need to work on. And it could be community involvement, it could be finance, it has a whole host of things that you can pick from. You apply to be to have this community compact. Once they approve it, they then you have the potential to get funds to help do some of these things that you're trying to do in your town. And for me, one of the things that I always try to do is if there's programs that don't take a lot of time and effort, but could get state money back to Ashland, I always try to be a champion of those, so we'll see what that gets us. We also talked about our board retreat, so the week after the first weekend in June, that Saturday, the 5 of us, the 5 Board of Selectmen members with Town Manager Anthony Schiavi and Assistant Manager Michael Herbert, took a morning and sat down and started working together just to get to know each other, talked about some of our priorities, supporting our new chair, Joe Mignani, and looking at what we're going to work at for the summer and into the fall. So we had some goals and objectives. And then the last couple of things, we had our town manager's report, and we had an update on the animal control facility dedication. So also on June 28th, the animal control facility that is down on Ponderosa Road is getting dedicated to Cheryl Rudolph, who recently lost her battle and passed away about a month ago. And she was a very strong advocate for animals and animal control. And then the last update we got, in case you're wondering, our water reservoir, the reservoir level is at 298.08.
Mm-hmm.
And before we hit stage 1, it's 295. But also, even though at town meeting we approved the new days to water, so it was, you used to be able to water 3 days a week, and at town meeting we approved 2 days a week. But until the new information is approved by the state level, we're actually still under the old regulations. So actually, right now, you can water 3 days a week, whether you're on the odd side or the even side. And if you're not sure, check the town website. No one can water on Monday, and then it's either Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So if you're not sure what day of the week you're on, you can check on the town website. And if you can't find it there, you can reach out to our Public Works Department and they'll help you figure that out. And that was our update. And before we finish the update, John, any questions or comments on what you heard?
Yeah, I made a couple notes myself.
Okay.
I can't always get to all the selectmen meeting, but I love that they're on WACA television. So you could fast forward to your favorite parts.
That's right. You can record them, and that's why we do the update, so that if you don't want to sit and watch the whole meeting, you can at least tell and hear what's been talked about and worked on.
It's a beautiful thing, and it's on their website, the WACA website, so you just Google it. The Warren Woods thing I found kind of interesting. You guys, how far along did you get with the discussion on the 16 acres?
So we were given a proposal by the ad hoc committee as to what their recommendation is, and currently their recommendation is that about an acre of the property stays under the care and custody of the Board of Selectmen, and then the other 15 acres get given over as to the care and custody of conservation and land stewardship, similar to the 101 acres in the back.
Okay.
One of my discussion points, and this is something I personally still have to research, is when we voted it at town meeting, it was separated into 2 parcels for a specific reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that before we make any changes, to find out exactly what those reasons were, and then see if we can just vote that, or do we have to bring it back to a town meeting to change who the care and custody is. So those are some things that I'm going to be researching now that I've gotten this proposal.
That's good. So hypothetically, if I was one of those people that saw this as a possible way to alleviate some stress in the fields eventually as we continue to grow and our schools get bigger, and I had specific concerns, what would I do now? What would you encourage somebody?
Well, unfortunately, 3 years ago, after I was on the board for a couple of months, there was a vote taken to only allow passive recreation even on the front 16 acres.
Really?
So yeah, when town meeting passed, the back was always going to be passive, but the front had the potential for active recreation. But as I said, 3 years ago, a couple of months after I was first on the board, there was a vote taken and it was turned into only passive recreation. Unfortunately, it was 3-2 vote. 3 people wanted it passive, 2 of us wanted it active because that's what was discussed at town meeting. So at this point, the only thing allowed on the front 16 is passive recreation.
Okay.
So walking, hiking, potentially gardening. And in the 1 acre, what they're looking to do is have some educational components. So if we can bring the barn over from the Valentine estate, that's been discussed. And then, make it so that kids can come there and we could have some educational components. But then the other parcels, the other 15 acres would basically stay as you see them right now.
And there was a selectman vote, so if it was going to change, it would have to be another selectman vote?
It would have to be another selectman vote,
Gotcha.
yeah.
That's interesting, okay. So I heard Paul Carpenter is going to be the lead, what would you call him, IT services.
Yeah, I
type
forget
head
exactly
of
what his
technology.
title is, but he's currently the head person over at this on the school department. And by bringing these two departments together, we can share our resources. Plus, with some of the fiber that we're putting in, it's going to give us a little stronger safety net. Because right now, each building has its own port and firewall and different computers and different things. So by putting it all under one department, the idea is that as we start getting new equipment when we need it, everyone will get the same kind of monitor, or everyone will get the same kind of computer. Or so just to make it easier, when we go to do bulk purchasing, it'll be all the departments rather than school department by itself and then the departments in general government by themselves.
That's nice. I was actually just sent him an email the other day. My networking group Tuesday mornings that meets at the community center, BNI, and Ashland wants to donate a network extender so you can actually get Wi-Fi in that big community room.
Oh.
So I just emailed him. Hopefully he'll email me back.
Oh, that'd be great.
And I think people would definitely benefit from Wi-Fi at the community center. It's weird that it doesn't work in about half of it. So
Yeah,
we're hoping that happens.
that'd be nice.
I did hear you mention override committee.
Yep. I know it's
I've tried to be vocal on that so far, but obviously I know this is very early stages. This is essentially the process. It's kind of working its way through.
Exactly.
So from what I heard so far, the people that are going to be on this committee are being identified. Is that right?
So it's starting with just currently members of the elected boards. So
Yep.
finance committee, not finance committee, Board of Selectmen and school committee. And the first steps that they're going to take is they're going to work with town manager and the administration to look at what we're currently doing, how we're providing services to the community, what services aren't we providing because of our budget issues, and then saying, okay, how can we layer on some of the things that we feel are important to our current budget, and then from there determine what would an override number look like, and what are the possible ways that we can fund an override.
Okay.
And then that would come back to the tri-board, so Board of Selectmen, School Committee, FinCom, and then we would start, I would say in the fall, as we're starting the budget discussion, start going out to the community, possibly having coffees, getting input from the community as to what they value, what service they want to see that we don't have, and if they think it's necessary.
So that's what you're saying. At this point, in this stage, this committee is coming together to see whether they think that it's even necessary, right?
Well, no. At this point, the members of the tri-board very reluctantly have said that to move Ashland forward and keep doing what we want to do, plus a few things, an override is necessary.
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be very interesting. And we know that there are many people who either can't afford it or don't feel it's necessary. So part of our charge is to talk to people about why it would be beneficial to Ashland.
It's going to be fun. And so if somebody was really motivated to dig into this, let's say they on either side, say there's for or against it, what would you recommend they do?
My recommendation is they start noticing when the override study committees start having their meetings, and we can announce them at Board of Selectmen meetings. I'll make sure, and they'll be posted open meetings, so you can check the meeting logs. I don't know exactly when they're going to start, but I know it's going to be soon. And go and listen and ask questions and participate, because we definitely need the citizens to be part of the discussion and part of the process, because it can't just say, okay, here's the override.
Yeah, then it feels
Okay,
like
no,
a
it
bill.
has to be we have to be inclusive of people to say, okay, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Because you have people there are people who will do an override no matter what, and there are other people who will say no to an override no matter what. But there are those people who might initially say no unless there's certain things that they see in it, or they're not saying no, whatever, no matter what you show me, I'm not going to do it. But they're saying, okay, it's going to depend on what's in it. So
that's great. Well,
that's why
maybe
it's important to get the input.
Inside, maybe they can televise it or at least get some access. That'd be kind of nice.
Yeah, we can
some of
see.
that.
Yeah.
So then people can again jump on DVR style and
There you go.
hear some of the arguments. Also, water policy. This was something I had my eye on quite a bit. So at this point, what you said is that they're focused on the setting rules and
Right, and so that is one we're actually taking talent bank forms. So if there are people who want to participate, and we're really trying to get people who might not be on another committee, who, not someone who's on 2 or 3 committees already, but someone who has an interest in water policy, in conservation, in how we want to use this connection to the MWRA. Fill out a talent bank form, let us know that you're interested, and we're hoping to appoint that in July.
And that'll be a subcommittee of the Board of Selectmen?
It would be a subcommittee of the
Okay.
Board of Selectmen because we're the water commissioners.
Got it. And then now the Stormwater Advisory.
Yep,
It's been another one of these.
another new one.
I feel like I've been on a soapbox. I'm beating on some of these people. So what do we know about this now? Like, where are we at with this so far?
So what we know now is there is a state requirement under the new, and I should know it, but there's a new policy that's coming out from the state regarding stormwater management, making sure that if it's going into your sewers, they want to keep it out of the sewers as much as possible. And the mitigation for this could cost a town anywhere from $70,000 to $800,000. So these are some of the first steps to look at what we can do in regards to our stormwater runoff, where it goes, how it gets different places, and working with the state regulation. And as someone said at our meeting, it's basically an unfunded mandate that every town in Massachusetts is going to have to be working with to look at their stormwater runoff and how they manage it.
You gotta love how they work at the federal government. I heard this one called, I think this is the parking lot / church tax, right? You know what they're calling it? I heard a couple people.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, because essentially this was a way, and not necessarily on the town, but given down federally or from a state level,
Okay.
where they felt like they could recapture monies that were supposedly being put on infrastructure from groups that you couldn't otherwise collect money from, so nonprofits, town, churches,
Right.
temples,
Yeah.
whatever.
Because they usually have larger parking
Parking
lots that go.
Yeah, the pavement tax, the
Okay, I have
impermeable
heard
tax.
I have
okay.
heard the pavement tax, not in relationship to our stormwater management, but
Yep.
just as a way to say,
Yeah.
okay, if you're putting in X amount of pavement, it can affect something,
That'll be-
and yeah.
It'll be an interesting debate when we get, when it gets to that point.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think these things fall in the cracks and people assume it's going to be, it'll pass, no big deal, until they
Right.
realize all of a sudden the implications.
Oh yeah,
So-
I mean it's amazing what some of these implications are going to have on
Yeah.
communities. So.
I haven't seen the actual dollars, so I didn't know quite what that translates into a church that has a 1 acre of parking lot or something.
Yeah, I don't
So-
know. I haven't seen
so
those
great.
details.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. A lot of controversial stuff coming up.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting year.
So that's pretty much everything I had from.
Okay, great.
All right.
Well, stay with us, and we will be right back with our planning board update.